Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about brush lettering, or as some people say, modern calligraphy. And I'm going to teach you the benefits of doing brush lettering and some tips so that you can do better at it, or you can incorporate that as a hobby in your life. So I actually have turned it into a hobby. I've loved writing my whole life and drawing, so combining the two was perfect for me as a hobby. But I actually opened up my own Etsy shop where I sell prints. A lot of it is poems that I write, but I started doing like common sayings in my own words and I turned them into pieces of art. So I want to start by talking about the benefits, because you may be watching this and thinking, brush lettering is not for me, I have no interest in that whatsoever, but I'm telling you, it could benefit everybody. Just writing can be like therapeutic, it can be calming, and brush lettering to me is like doing that same thing. It's writing, but it brings out an art. You could write down your thoughts, and you may not like a journal or a diary, as some people say, and to turn it into a form of art actually I think would appeal to more people. So another huge benefit I would say is the more that you get into this form of art, the better that your handwriting will become. And good handwriting, I notice, can really come in handy in your everyday life. If you have bad handwriting, like that can really make your life more difficult. If you jot down notes for yourself to look at later and you can't read your own writing, or if you work for someone and you're writing notes for them, this will definitely improve it. I would say I've always had decent handwriting, but since I started brush lettering, it's actually even improved mine. All right, so we talked about therapy, hobby, fun, and for all you girls out there who like makeup, it does help you a little bit with that. It sounds silly, but I could never do a winged liner, a cat eye, until I really got a handle for brush lettering. So that's definitely a plus. Everybody has their own styles with brush lettering, just like with any other type of art, and that's perfectly fine. So I have two artists that I actually follow on Instagram, and I looked a little bit into their careers, their websites, and things like that. I'll show you a few pieces of their work or their Instagram feed, and I will insert that for you so you can just see the difference in the styles, and I love them both equally. You can look up work from other people and you can use that as inspiration, but I would embrace your own style, and the more that you practice, the more that you will get a handle on your own style. I want to start off by getting into the supplies. You do not have to invest a lot when you start this. Honestly, you can start with Sharpies or pens. A lot of people do that, but if you do develop it more as a hobby, then you should invest a little bit, and I will show you what I started using and what I still use now. So I carry my pens in these two bags right here, and the reason I use this is the Tombow dual brush pens are a little bit longer than any of the pencil bags that I have, and this one holds like normal size, like Sharpies would fit in here fine. I do carry like regular pens and pencils and highlighters in here because when I'm doing my planner or journaling, like those really come in handy. So this is kind of like, this goes in my purse. I actually carry it around with me at all times, and that's usually my go-to, but the dual brush pens are probably the most popular. I have a pack of these Pigma Micron, and it's archival ink, and it comes in a pack. I want to say, actually I think I still have the paper. Yeah, a pack of 6. I will put in the description box below, I'll put all the supplies and I'll put links so that you can just click and find them and buy them if you are interested. But these probably, they have quickly become my favorite. I just think that they're easiest to work with. in my opinion. So in the pack, you get different sizes. I like when you have like 2 or 3 styles of writing in the same piece. So these really come in handy for that, and I probably use them the most. It also looks the blackest on paper compared to any of my other pens. These right here are also pretty good. They have more of the brush tip, unlike the others that I just mentioned. They have more of that like brush lettering style that you're probably familiar with. And let's see, these are also by Tombow, and I cannot read the wording on the actual pens. They are made in Japan. Definitely like those, but for beginners, I would definitely recommend starting out with the Pigma. And then these are actually one of my favorites as well. These are the Jelly Roll pens, and this is also made in Japan. It's by the brand Sakura. They show up really metallic. You cannot write with these, at least the metallic ones, on its own. I think it would be a little bit hard to see, but I like to use it for accents. So that about wraps it up for this bag. And then digging into this bag, we have a pretty large assortment of the Tombow dual brush pens. I have just about every color that I would need for my business. I have no complaints with them. In a minute, I'll show you what kind of paper that you need to use with these, because you do not want to use regular printer paper or copy paper. It doesn't say that on their website, but I actually tweeted the company, I think just giving them a shout out, and someone from their account responded to me. No, I actually wrote a blog post on them, and I tweeted them to tell them to check it out, and they got back to me and they said just add on your blog post that you shouldn't use it on regular paper. And I was surprised to hear that. I did not use mine on regular paper to begin with, because I wouldn't use regular paper for my business, but I thought it was nice that they reached out and said that, and they should put that on their site. But anyway, let's take this one for example. You have a very flexible tip pen here, and then on the other side you have just kind of like a fine tip, which again is also nice just for adding those details. And you can do like the 2 different styles. Like I said, I like these in general. I like to use as accent, but I will show you how you can also achieve like the splash of watercolor that you often see on the back of like brush letter pieces. That's a very popular style, and you can achieve that just using these. So I do that pretty often. It saves me a couple steps. It's a little bit cleaner, not as messy, and I would definitely recommend picking some of these up. I got mine at Joann Fabrics. I ordered them online. They don't sell them in the stores. They're actually really hard to find in stores anywhere, I noticed. So you probably have to order them online. And the cheapest that I found was Joann Fabrics. I wait for that 20% off code, and then I just piled these in my cart and got them for a really good deal. All right, let's get into paper now. Like I said, you do not want to use regular copy paper or printer paper for any type of brush lettering. It's just not gonna go as well. You can actually get a sketchbook, and a lot of times they'll have like the thicker paper for drawing and things like that. So you can start with that, but if you wanna buy like individual sheets, start with cardstock. This is pretty affordable. The sheets aren't too thick, but they're thick enough to where they won't mess up your tips, and it will still come out as a nice piece. This is just plain white. I also have this in black. I just like how much you get for the affordable price. I usually use like a shimmery paper that's a little bit thicker than this for my business. It's actually quite similar to this, only this is colored. And this is also a fine one to start out with, especially if you want to make it look more appealing, add some color to it. And then my absolute favorite is watercolor paper. And I have this in a couple different sizes. This is very thick, and it does have a little bit of texture to it. That is probably why I do love it so much. You don't have to worry about the paper getting soggy or the ink bleeding through. And you also can write on it, and the paper almost like pulls against the brush pen a little bit, the tip. So you almost have like more control. Your pens won't glide smoothly across. All right, so if you're not into the actual brush pens as much and you do want to use some watercolor and use some paints and some paintbrushes, that is fine. I actually really like that style as well. So I actually keep all my supplies in this little container. My reason for that, I don't work in one place all the time. I do have an office upstairs, but I don't work in that too frequently. So sometimes I work up there, sometimes I work in my dining room, and sometimes I go to a Starbucks or something and work there. So I do like to have everything pretty portable. That's why you'll see everything in bags or containers. So I have 2 palettes that I use, and I have been using since I started my business, and I highly recommend them. This got very good reviews. I ordered it from Amazon. As you can see, it is very well loved. I could not wait to just dive in this, and usually I'm pretty clean and neat with my stuff, but with watercolor, like, that's almost impossible. So let me take this tray out and give you a peek at the colors. Very pretty, very nice. I do recommend like mixing some of these, and then you'll have everything that you need just in here. Watercolors can get extremely pricey, and starting out, like, I definitely don't worry about all of that. Definitely just get something like this. It will last you a long time, trust me. I want to say I started my business around the 1st of September, and I've been using these quite a lot. Take a look at my shop and you'll see how often I've used these. You see all the watercolor on there, and they've held up and they look great. So great palette here. The other palette I have is absolutely stunning, and I see this all over the place on Instagram and just like great reviews on this. And this is the Fine Tech palette. It's the golds. Once you swirl your brush in here, you'll see what I mean. They're like this beautiful metallic-y range of colors here. Okay, so actual inks. I do have a few here. I got this from Michaels. This is just the speedball kind right here. This is pretty much, as far as I know, it's as good as it gets. I bought a couple other kinds, and this was my favorite as far as just a regular ink. Now these are actual fine art watercolor, and this is by Dr. P.H. Martin's Hydrus, if I'm saying that correctly. I got brown and black just because they're the most versatile. So these are very nice. I use these with these paintbrushes right here. I just picked these up at Michael's. It looked like they had good reviews when I looked them up. I actually looked them up in the store, and these are the Princeton Select. I have the spotter and the round, and I use the spotter the most, which is the small brush. So if I'm using inks, or if I'm writing like pretty thin, like painted lettering, then I will use these. Now, anytime that I'm not actually doing the lettering and I'm just blending colors and I'm like painting the background, I use these. And what you do with these is you fill them up with water. The cap actually comes off. You fill this up with water here, and then it actually distributes the water through the tip here as you're painting with it. And I've seen some people actually fill this with watercolor, and that's a great idea. You could definitely do that, but I do really like these for just mixing and blending. And if you are like blending your background, then just to squeeze this and let out more water through the tip really helps, and it saves you time, so you don't have to keep like dipping your brush back into a cup of water and trying to get a large amount of that water onto your paper. So this will save you a lot of time. It's almost like a must-have. And when I was researching like how to start brush lettering and what I should get, this was on the top of the list of almost every site that I visited. Okay, last for supplies is this calligraphy set that my fiance actually got me as a gift, and this was before I actually really got into this. So I want to say this really contributed to making this like a big part of my life. In this, you get 5 different colors in here. You got red, indigo, black, blue, and green. So you also have 5 different tips that you can work with to get different styles, different thicknesses. And then you have a basic calligraphy pen. I'll pull it out and show you. So you get this like basic one here. And then you get this really fancy looking pen that I only use maybe once or twice. I'm so weird when I get like really nice things. I like want to save it and I don't want to mess it up. So I haven't used this one too much, but I've gotten a lot of use out of this. But this set is very nice. Along with it, he got me a book that teaches you the different strokes. All right, so I guess like a how-to book would fall under supplies. Not to say that they're not useful, but I've just learned when it comes to something like this, you learn best by actually doing. So the more you practice, the better you will get, I promise. So I would say what's more valuable than actually getting a book and reading that and trying their exercises, all you really need to do is take a classic brush tip pen and just practice making dashes and O's. And just doing that will give you a feel for when to, because when you do downstrokes, you do want to apply more pressure with your pen. So push down on the tip, and when you are doing upstrokes, you want to just barely touch the paper. So you don't want there to be gaps in your lettering, but you definitely want there to be as little pressure as possible. And you'll get the hang of that if you keep doing dashes and O's. So in my opinion, that's the best way to practice. And then as far as the alphabet, I would just look up alphabets that you like, find what you like with some and what you don't like with those same ones, and then pick out what you like in others and combine those, and then practice it like that, and then start adding your own style to it. So I keep all of my first copies in this binder. And what I mean by that is when I actually sell a product, I usually try to copy my template. So for example, if I open this up, the first piece I see is this one right here. And this would be a template. So in order to sell this piece, what I would do is grab this light pad that I bought off of Amazon, and I put my template down, and then I put a sheet of paper over this, turn on the light pad, it brightens it so you can see through the paper that you're working on, and copy it pretty much exact. As I do say in my shop, every piece is an original, but I don't want to sell pieces that don't look like the piece that they're ordering. So I do make sure to use the light pad to copy that. Honestly, I would use the light pad as well if you do want to practice. So let's say that you love this piece and you order this piece from my shop, let's say hypothetically, and you bought your own light pad. So you could grab your own sheet of paper, put it over top of your piece that you have bought, and you can copy my lettering. And then you can keep doing that again and again on different sheets of paper, and then you will eventually learn how I do my lettering, and then you could put your own twist on that. Alright guys, that about wraps it up for my tips and benefits of brush lettering and why you should learn how to do it and incorporate it into your life. I hope I didn't leave anything out, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to ask, leave them in the comments, and I will get back to you. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe. It would mean the world to me, and I will see you guys next time.